in the NBA. We had KD, we had Kyrie, we got the Lakers, we have all this stuff. We are waiting on Donovan Mitchell, and here is Woj with the breaking news last night of a deal the New York Knicks have worked out with R.J. Barrett that could have a huge impact on their players waking up. What do we have?
Hey, Greeny, the Jazz and Knicks, they closed the gap on a Donovan Mitchell trade Sunday into Monday, closer than they had been in the previous 6 weeks of their on-again, off-again talks. You know, R.J. Barrett has been at the center of those discussions, but Leon Rose, the Knicks president, put a Monday night deadline on agreeing to a contract extension for R.J. Barrett with Utah, that if they wanted to get a deal done that included Barrett still on his rookie contract, they would have had to have reached a deal. They didn't. So late last night, Bill Duffy, Barrett's agent, tells me they've agreed. They're finalizing, certainly, 4-year deal worth up to $120 million. That's going to reset these Donovan Mitchell trade talks with New York. They could still put Barrett in a deal, but there's something called the poison pill provision, some salary cap gymnastics that makes it harder to structure a deal. It would have to look different than what they were discussing, but you know, the Knicks and Jazz had gotten further down the line really in those last 48 hours than they had really over the first 5-6 weeks of those talks.
All right, fascinating and incredibly important. First and foremost, for R.J. Barrett, good for him. Terrific young player with the Knicks, and now he gets his money one way or the other. But the actual impact, if someone is waking up, if a Knicks fan is getting up this morning with us, they put it out, and they're thinking, oh, is Woj telling me that we're not getting Donovan Mitchell now? I guess that's what I think the fans are asking. How exactly does this impact that?
Well, listen, again, there was an inflection point in these last 48 hours where I thought on Monday morning that they were getting in the neighborhood of a possible trade. Now it's going to have to look different. They're really going to have to restart these talks. There's still a month to go before training camp. Donovan Mitchell's got 3 years left on his deal in Utah. You know, players like him do not become available. 25 years old, 3-time All-Star, a player from the New York City area. You know, the Knicks would still love to get him. I think a lot of this trade conversation has been built around how many unprotected first-round picks New York would put in a deal. Another hang-up yesterday, Quentin Grimes, their young guard. That's a player Utah would like in the deal. They couldn't get there on him in the package. There's still a pathway. It's more complicated, but R.J. Barrett now, 4 years, nearly $120 million, you know, averaged 20 points in his 3rd season in New York. He could still be a part of the package. It just becomes more complicated now for New York and Utah to do a Donovan Mitchell trade. I expect they'll start talking again here at some point before camp. Utah really doesn't have traction anywhere else right now on Donovan Mitchell talks. Again, the Knicks, their depth of draft picks separates them from the rest of the league. That's what Danny Ainge values in a trade deal. But R.J. Barrett is a player Utah really wanted, really values, and at least now they know what his contract extension looks like. It's agreed to in New York. He'll sign it, and so they wouldn't have to negotiate that with him if they did trade for him.
So this could still happen, but it becomes more complicated. I read Woj's entire story, which is on ESPN.com. The possibility that Mitchell opens at least training camp with the Utah Jazz now feels very real. Woj.